All right, this video is for quantity controls, which is last module in Unit 2, Module 9. All right, quantity controls are a bit different than price controls. So with price controls, we're trying to control what the price is, obviously. So either making the price lower for consumers with a price ceiling or making the price higher for sellers with a price floor. With quantity controls, on the other hand, quantity controls are going to be where the government's trying to limit the quantity of a product. So they're trying to limit how many products are actually going to be sold. And oftentimes they do this through licenses. So they will issue licenses to be able to do things. So some good examples of this would be the New York taxi cab medallion, which, by the way, is a fascinating story because the fact that you used to have this taxi cab medallion in New York City to drive a taxi. But what's happening to taxis? They're going away. Why? Uber, Lyft. And so all of a sudden these taxi cab medallions that, by the way, the taxi cab driver actually had to pay a lot of money for, now not worth so much. Other examples, there's a limit in France of a French 35-hour work week. You could only work 35 hours. That's quantity. And there's also fishing quotas. Anybody a hunter or a fisherman? Think about it this way. If you're a hunter or a fisherman, you have to get a license to be a hunter or a fisherman. So that's how they limit how many people are going, how many fish are going to be caught, or how many deer or whatever you're hunting is going to be caught. So for this example, I'm actually going to use lobster, Maine lobster. So I got this chart off the internet just because it's easier to type it off the internet rather than going and making it myself. So here's the price of lobster. Okay, so this is the market for lobster. Obviously here's equilibrium, and basically lobster would be $10 per pound, and we would sell 120,000 pounds of lobster. All right, now here's the thing is that sometimes the government gets involved and sets a quota. So the quota is going to be arbitrarily set at any particular quantity. So they're going to just draw a line just like I did at a particular quantity. Why would the government do this? Well, why would they do that with the lobsters? And that's why I picked this one. Well, because in this case, oftentimes it's like conservation efforts, so they don't want lobsters to be overfished, for example, off the coast of Maine. So they're going to set a limit. So what they're going to do is they're going to only sell so many lobster fisherman licenses. Okay, so we're going to have this quota here. Now, notice that we have a demand price. So wherever the demand curve hits this quota line. So here's where my quota line is, right? So here's where my demand curve, my blue line, hits the quota line. And so if I follow my little dotted line across, that's approximately $14 per pound. And there's also a supply price. So where my supply curve, my red line, hits my quota line is going to be my supply price. So if you follow my little dotted line all the way across, that's approximately $8 a pound. Okay, what does that mean? Well, the difference between the supply price and the demand price is what we call the quota rent. Okay, what? All right, so here's what happens is that let's say that I'm a lobster fisherman. I know this is weird, but I'm going to be a lobster fisherman, so I go buy my license and I take my big old fisher boat out and I go fishing for lobster, bring back, and I'm going to go sell my lobster. According to this, how much am I going to sell my lobster for? What's the actual price that consumers pay? What did I say? Consumers. Consumers, okay, they're going to actually pay $14. That's the price that the seller is going to charge. I'm going to charge $14. And because I paid for the license, I am going to keep all $14 per pound. But let me give you a different scenario. What if I am a lobster fisherman and I bought my license and I do go out and I go fishing and, get some lobster every once in a while, but let's say there's a day that maybe there's a week that I'm on vacation, or maybe I'm sick. What I can do is I can rent out my boat and my license to somebody else. So now here's what happens is that when they go out and use my license and my boat, and they catch a whole bunch of lobster and they bring it back and they sell it to the consumer, they are still going to charge this $14. Okay? Highest price, that is what the consumer is going to be charged. However, my friend that borrowed my boat and my license, how much of that $14 are they going to keep? They are going to keep $8 because that is the price for the seller. But that means that there's a difference between $14 and $8. There's a difference of $6. So between $14 and $8, what happens to the other $6? They have to give me the other $6 because it was my license, my boat. So they owe me that $6. That's what we mean by the quota rent, because there's a difference there that is going to be paid to whoever owns the license. If you're the person that owns the license, then yeah, you get to keep all $14. If not, then you have to pay out to the person that does own the license. And when we actually go and look at this lovely little triangle here, the difference between the quota line and where our equilibrium is, okay, the difference between this, because hey, equilibrium should be at 120,000 pounds, but I put the quota at 80,000 pounds. This is what we call our dead weight loss. Why is it a dead weight loss? Because, hey, we're losing out on, what is that, 40,000 pounds of lobster that could be sold. That's a dead weight loss. We're losing that. We can't sell it because of the way the government said. And keep in mind that the consumer will always be charged the higher price. They will always be charged the demand price. Okay? And if it's asked what price is the producer going to charge, they're going to charge the demand price. Doesn't matter how you ask the question, but the consumer will always be charged the higher price. All right, that's it for quantity control. Please let me know if you have any questions.